Dean Martin was in his dressing room, just 20 feet from the stage, when he heard it. Not applause, not laughter, but a gasp. 3,000 people inhaling at the same time. In show business, you learn what sounds mean. Laughter means the joke worked. Applause means they're happy. Silence means something's wrong. But a collective gasp? That means something terrible just happened. Dean opened his dressing room door. He could hear Sammy's voice from the stage, but it was different, shaken, scared. Then came another voice, louder and angrier, slurred with alcohol. "You think you're funny, Sammy? You think you can make jokes about me?" Dean's blood ran cold. He knew that voice. Everyone in Vegas did. It belonged to a mob boss who controlled half the casinos on the Strip, a man known for putting people in the hospital over the smallest slight. And now he was standing on Sammy's stage. Dean started toward the stage entrance, but a stagehand grabbed his arm. "Dean, don't. You don't want to get involved with him." Dean pulled free. "Sammy's my friend. He'll kill you. Then he kills me." Dean walked onto the stage, and what he saw made things clear. This wasn't just about protecting Sammy. This was about drawing a line the mob could never cross again. To understand what happened on March 8, 1964, you need to understand three things: who Sammy Davis Jr. was, who this mob boss was, and what Las Vegas was really like beneath the glamour. Sammy Davis Jr. was one of the most talented entertainers in the world. He could sing, dance, act, do impressions, and play multiple instruments. He was a complete performer. But in 1964 America, Sammy was also a black man working in an industry and a city still ruled by racist practices. Sammy had converted to Judaism and married a white woman, Swedish actress May Britt, which sparked enormous backlash. He was banned from certain venues. Hotels where he headlined wouldn't let him stay or eat on the premises. He received death threats regularly. But Sammy had something that offered some protection: the Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop made it clear that anyone who messed with Sammy would have to deal with them. It wasn't perfect protection. Sammy still faced humiliation and discrimination, but it mattered. The mob boss, let's call him Angelo, was a different kind of danger. Connected to a major East Coast crime family, Angelo had financial interests in several Las Vegas casinos. He was known for two things: making money and having a violent temper, especially when he drank. And he drank a lot. Angelo hated comedians who joked about mobsters. To him, it was disrespect, people forgetting their place. 3 days before March 8th, Sammy had made a general mob joke during his show, something about friends in the hospitality industry who make offers you can't refuse. The audience laughed. Angelo, who was there that night, did not. March 8th was a Friday. The Sands Hotel showroom was packed, 3,000 people. Sammy was about 45 minutes into his set, in the middle of a Frank Sinatra impression. "Ring-a-ding-ding, baby." That's when Angelo stood up. He'd been drinking since before the show started, loud and belligerent. People nearby noticed but were too afraid to say anything. Then Angelo climbed onto the stage, walking straight up the stairs as Sammy was performing. At first, the audience thought it was part of the act. Then they saw Sammy's face, the confusion, the fear. This wasn't planned. "You think you're funny, Sammy? You think you can make jokes about me?" Dean's blood ran cold. He knew that voice. Everyone in Vegas did. It belonged to a mob boss who controlled half the casinos on the Strip, a man known for putting people in the hospital over the smallest slight. And now he was standing on Sammy's stage. Dean started toward the stage entrance, but a stagehand grabbed his arm. "Dean, don't. You don't want to get involved with him." Dean pulled free. "Sammy's my friend. He'll kill you. Then he kills me." Dean walked onto the stage, and what he saw made things clear. This wasn't just about protecting Sammy. This was about drawing a line the mob could never cross again. Sammy's mind raced. He knew Angelo's reputation. He knew what this man was capable of. But he also knew he couldn't just stand there and take it. Not in front of 3,000 people. Not on his own stage. "I'm asking you, respectfully, to leave my stage," Sammy said, voice shaking but firm. Angelo laughed. "Respectfully? You don't ask me to do anything." And then he hit him, a hard right hook to Sammy's face. The smack echoed through the showroom. Sammy stumbled back, falling hard onto the stage. His good eye watered from pain, rage, humiliation, maybe all three. Blood trickled from his split lip. Angelo loomed over him. Get up so I can hit you again." The showroom froze. 3,000 people and nobody moved. Security guards at the back stared at each other, unsure. You don't arrest a mob boss. You don't even approach a mob boss, not if you want to keep working in Las Vegas. Sammy lay on the floor, one hand on his bleeding lip, the other bracing against the stage. Stand and take another punch, or stay down and be humiliated forever. 20 feet away, in his dressing room, Dean Martin heard the collective gasp of the crowd. He'd been relaxing, having a drink, planning a post-show dinner with Sammy, maybe hitting the tables. But that gasp, Dean knew something was very wrong. He opened his dressing room door. Sammy's scared voice, Angelo's angry, slurred voice, and that racial slur slicing through the air reached him. Dean's jaw tightened. He started toward the stage. A stagehand, a young guy named Tommy, grabbed his arm. "Dean, don't. That's Angelo Martinelli." "I know who he is. I know what he's done." "He's killed people," Tommy warned. "He'll kill you." Dean pulled his arm away, not roughly, just firmly. "Sammy is my friend." "Dean, please!" "Then he kills me." Dean pushed through the curtain and stepped onto the stage. The first thing he saw, Sammy on the floor, blood on his lip. The second, Angelo looming over him. The third, 3,000 people frozen in terrified silence. Dean didn't run, didn't yell. He walked calmly forward, his voice cutting through the quiet like a knife. "Get your hands off my friend." Angelo turned, his drunk, angry face broke into a smile. "Dean Martin, perfect. Maybe you can teach your friend here about respect." Dean kept moving, placing himself between Angelo and Sammy. "You okay?" Sammy wiped blood from his mouth. "I'm okay, Dean. You should maybe go back to your dressing room." Dean ignored him, his gaze locked on Angelo. "You need to leave, now." Angelo laughed. "Or what? Dean, you're gonna sing me off the stage?" Dean's calm was dangerous. "I'm asking once. Leave this stage. Leave this showroom. Don't come back." "You're asking me. You work for us, Dean. This casino, we own it. You perform because we let you perform. Maybe you should leave." Dean stepped closer. They were face to face. Angelo's alcohol breath hit him like a fog. "I don't work for anyone. I work with people. And you just assaulted my friend in front of 3,000 witnesses. Here's what's going to happen. You walk off this stage right now, or I make sure every performer in this city knows what you did. Good luck filling showrooms when nobody wants to work for you." Angelo's smile faltered. "You're threatening me?" "No, I'm giving you a choice. Walk away or lose every headline act in Vegas. Your choice." Angelo glanced around the showroom, 3,000 eyes on him, on Dean, waiting to see who would blink first. His 3 associates stood at their table, ready. One word and this could erupt into chaos. But Dean didn't flinch. Hands at his sides, calm as a lake, staring down a man who'd killed for less. Silence stretched. 10 seconds, 20, 30. Finally, Angelo stepped back. "You just made a big mistake, Dean." "Maybe, but Sammy is my friend. If protecting him is a mistake, I'll make it every time." Angelo looked at Sammy, still on the floor. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is," Dean said. "Security, escort Mr. Martinelli out." 2 security guards, frozen until now, moved carefully toward Angelo. He shrugged them off. "I walk myself out." He glanced at Dean one last time. "You're going to regret this." "I doubt it." Angelo left the stage, his 3 associates trailing behind. The showroom stayed silent until they were gone. Then, slowly, applause started. 1 person, 10, 100, until all 3,000 were on their feet, giving Dean Martin a roaring standing ovation. Dean helped Sammy up. "You okay, pal?" Sammy's eye glistened with tears. "You didn't have to do that, Dean. He's gonna come after you now." Dean shrugged. "Let him try. You're my brother, Sammy. Nobody touches you, not while I'm alive." The ovation rolled on. Dean looked out at the crowd, took the microphone, and the music of the moment carried him. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that interruption," Dean said, stepping back to the microphone. "But I want to make one thing very clear. Sammy Davis Jr. is one of the greatest entertainers who ever lived, and one of the best men I know. And if anyone disrespects him, threatens him, or touches him, they answer to me." The applause swelled, louder and louder. Dean handed the microphone to Sammy. Sammy took it, still wiping blood from his lip. "Thank you, Dean, and thank you all for being here tonight. The show must go on." He turned to the band. "Let's take it from Mr. Bojangles." The music started and Sammy sang. Dean stepped off the stage to the loudest ovation he'd ever received without singing a single note. Backstage, Tommy, the stagehand, was pale. "Dean, what have you done? Angelo's going to do whatever he's going to do," Dean said calmly. "But he learned something tonight. You don't touch my friends." Word spread fast. Within an hour, every casino in Las Vegas knew. Dean Martin had stood up to Angelo Martinelli, humiliated him in front of 3,000 witnesses, and forced him to leave. Some thought Dean was crazy. Others feared he was dead. A few whispered that he was the bravest man in Vegas. That night, Dean got calls from Frank Sinatra, Joey Bishop, and a dozen other performers. Frank was furious, not at Dean, but that he hadn't been there. "If I'd been there, we'd have thrown that bastard off the stage together," he said. Then came a call Dean hadn't expected, from a senior mob figure, higher up than Angelo. "Mr. Martin," the man said, "I heard what happened tonight." "Yeah?" Dean said, warily. "Angelo was out of line. He shouldn't have been on that stage. He definitely shouldn't have hit your friend, and he definitely shouldn't have said what he said. I'm not here to threaten you. Angelo's been told to leave you and Mr. Davis alone permanently. What he did tonight was bad for business. It made us look like animals. So that's it. It's over. You and Mr. Davis can perform without worrying about Angelo." Dean exhaled slowly. "Understood." "But Dean," the man added, "don't make a habit of this. We can't have performers challenging us every time they disagree with something. This was a one-time exception because Angelo was wrong, very wrong." The call ended. Dean sat in his dressing room, realizing he'd crossed a line he could never uncross. He'd challenged the mob and won, only because he'd been right, lucky, and because Angelo had been so obviously wrong that even his own people couldn't defend him. The next day, Dean got a message to meet someone at a coffee shop off the Strip. It was the senior mob figure from the phone call. "I wanted to tell you in person," the man said. "What you did took guts. Stupid guts, but guts. Angelo's been told to stay away from you, Mr. Davis, and everyone in your circle. But Dean, you can't do this again. Next time, there might not be someone to pull you out of the fire." Dean nodded. "Understood. But Dean," the man added, "understand this. You won last night because Angelo was drunk, because he assaulted someone in public, and because he used language even we don't tolerate, in front of 3,000 witnesses. You won because the situation was extreme. Next time it might not be, so don't test us." Dean extended his hand. "Deal." They shook. It was over. Sammy Davis Jr. never forgot that night. For the rest of his life, whenever anyone asked him who his best friend was, he said without hesitation, Dean Martin. Frank was the leader. He brought us together. But Dean was the one who would die for you, literally die for you. He proved it that night. He stood between me and a mob boss who could have killed us both, and he didn't flinch. That's not friendship, that's brotherhood. The night of March 8, 1964 became legendary in Las Vegas, not for the music, not for the jackpots, but because Dean Martin drew a line and said this far, no further. You can control the casinos, you can control the money, but you can't touch my friends. For once, the mob learned they couldn't.